Now we will study about the outbreeding device or contrivances. Many plants have mechanism that prevent self-pollination and favors cross-pollination. Continuous self-pollination, genetic diversity cannot be changed. Cross-pollination increase genetic diversity. Thus, plants have developed many devices to encourage cross-pollination. There are some examples of the contrivances or outbreeding devices. First, unisexuality. In this case, the plants bears either male or female flower. A flower are unisexual. Self-pollination is not possible. Plants may be monoecious. Example maize or dioecious. Example mulberry, papaya. Second, dichogamy. In this device, anther and stigma mature at the different time in a bisexual flower so as to prevent self-pollination. It can be further divided into two types. One, protandry. When androecium mature earlier than the gynoecium is called protandry. Example, disflorets of sunflower. Next, protogyny. When gynoecium mature earlier than the androecium is called protogyny. Example, gloriosa. Third, prepotency. Pollen grains of other flower germinate rapidly over the stigma than the pollen grains from the same flower, example apple. Heterostyle. In some plants, stigma and anthers are placed at a different level. This prevents the pollens from reaching the stigma and pollinating it. That is, favors cross-pollination and prevent self-pollination. Example, primula or primrose or primrose. Next, herpogamy. It is a mechanical device to prevent self-pollination in a bisexual flower. In plant, natural physical barrier is present between two sex organs and avoid contact of pollen with stigma of same flower. Example, calotropis, pentagonal stigma which is located above the level of anthers. Next, self-incompatibility or self-sterility. This is a genetic mechanism due to which the germination of pollen on a stigma of the same flower is inhibited. Example, tobacco. Now we will study about the pollen-pistil interaction. It is the interaction of pollen grains with stigma. It begins with the pollination and ends with fertilization. All the events from the deposition of pollen grains on stigma to the entry of pollen tube in the ovule are referred as pollen-pistil interaction. Pollination does not guarantee the transfer of right type of pollen. Wrong pollen grain also land on the stigma. Pistil has ability to recognize and accept the writer compatible pollen of the same species. Thus, wrong type of pollen discarded by pistil, and compatibility and incompatibility of pollen pistil is determined by special protein. The stigmatic surface refuse the incompatible pollen grains and accept the compatible pollen grain. A physical mechanism operates to ensure that only intraspecific pollen germinate successfully. Compatible pollen absorb water and nutrient from the surface of stigma, germinates and produce pollen tube. Pollen tube growth determined by specific chemicals. The stigmatic surface provides essential prerequisite for the successful germination. The pollen tube is finally pushed through the ovule and reaches to the embryo sac, and the tip of pollen tube enters in one of the synergy and then rupture to release the content. Due to pollen pistil interaction, intense competition develops even in the compatible pollen grains. It also plays important role in the sexual reproduction and seed formation